Good morning, afternoon, evening, gamers. So, this is probably ill-advised. I've had a few beers, which, by the way, if you like, if you like lagers, this is from Asia. Tiger. I'm not being sponsored for it. It's just a nice beer, and I kind of like it. Go along to your local supermarket if you like the sound of it and buy some. That's it. Nothing more than that. This is it has to be a quick video because obviously, although it is Friday, many of my fellow neighbours may be wanting to sleep. But it's something that I feel that I have to say. Obviously, I've been following the chits, the Chits Blung incident, the Hearthstone incident, and see, many people seem to think that it's just a gaming thing, that it maybe really doesn't matter, that it's just about an American company being a bit naughty. I see it very, very differently. During the World War, Allied forces, including America, spilt blood, and a lot of people died for the liberty that you and I now share, to be able to say what we want to when we want to say it. Liberty for the freedom of speech, liberty for the freedom of expression, and liberty for the freedom of expression in the arts. And I think that's quite an important thing. We, particularly myself, and very many people, I don't think we quite understand the freedom that we have. I can go onto a social platform and I can say what I want to within reason, but I can say what I want to, and that is my right. A lot of people in the world, particularly China, do not have that freedom. I think the freedom of speech is something that all human beings should be allowed to have, but unfortunately, that is not always so. But nevertheless, this whole thing with Hearthstone, and with this player that got banned, I actually had a conversation with a colleague who was like, well, he broke the rules, and so therefore, and people tend to wash their hands of the situation. Well, he broke the rules, and therefore, he deserves to get punished. Well, okay, all right, okay. So, therefore, there was another Hearthstone match, which is it's kind of like a digital game with cards, if you're not familiar with it. And so, therefore, two American universities went head to head. One won, one lost. It's of no relevance at this point. But I think during or after the match, one held up a sign saying support Hong Kong, and I think it was something like it was something against Blizzard, blockade Blizzard, or something of that nature. Go against Blizzard. Now, you would have thought that under these rules, that they would also be banned and given the same harsh measures that Blitzchung was given. No, no, nothing was done to them. No, no consequences, no fallout. Do you know why? Because they're American. Because Americans are protected under the Declaration of Independence and the ensuing amendments. Similarly, in the United Kingdom and quite a lot of the free world or Europe, we are protected in a similar way. We can have our say within reason, and we have free speech. So, but according to Blizzard's rules, they should have been treated exactly the same, and they were not. So, this goes to show that this was not about, it wasn't about rules, it wasn't about regulations, it was simply for Blizzard did not want to upset their overlords, China. They did not want to, because they have millions to potentially lose. They have a mobile game which is doing very, very well, Call of Duty Mobile, which is making lots and lots of money. I expect in China, because nobody in the West particularly wants mobile games. Not that we get listened to. At BlizzCon's 2018 convention, that they introduced the mobile version of Diablo. Everybody booed. Nobody wanted it. Blizzard didn't particularly care because they were going to sell it to the Chinese market. Funnily enough, it's never been released. Apparently it's finished. There are statements to say that, it's finished, it's ready to go, but it hasn't actually been released. So that's an interesting thing to think about. Call of Duty has made lots of money in its first few weeks. How much of that money comes from Europe and how much of that money comes from China, nobody is particularly talking about. I'm guessing because we don't actually have concrete numbers. But apparently it's doing well. So therefore Blizzard had a legitimate reason to want to protect their finances, let's say, or blood money, as I call it. I'm going to say it like it is. If YouTube decides to ban me, well, that's absolutely fine. I will not stand for. I can't stand for this. I've never been particularly a political person. Most politics, I just see them as being just fairly well-off people, just basically arguing with each other about who is right, rather than what is right for the actual people. So I've never had much time for it, really. However, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of expression in the arts, I think if we were to lose that, we basically lose our freedom. And if we have no freedom, then what are we? We basically have nothing. Everything that was fought for is basically a mockery. And I feel that Blizzard and any company, it's got nothing to do just with American companies, any company within the free world who goes against freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of expression of the arts, or censorship, is basically goes against all that Allied forces, America included, died for. They spit on the poppy, and they spit on freedom. I cannot and I will not stand for that. I've never stood for anything, but that is a no-no. There has to be a line in the sand. There has to be a point by which we say no more. And most people will say, well, this is just an isolated incident. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it'll all blow over in a couple of days. But this is the thing. China is a huge market. They vastly outnumber us in PC gamers, probably console too. And if we allow this, one day you and I will be the ones that are being silenced. Just think about that. Let that sink in. Am I saying that all Chinese people are bad? No, of course not. Just because the Chinese government are an actively aggressive people, when it comes to their outdated dogma and ideologies, does that mean that Samsung or Sony feel the same way? No, of course not. It doesn't work that way. But as China has an aggressive hold on its people, it censors its own people. It censors their internet. They don't have the freedom like you and I have, whereby we can pretty much, go through all of the entireties of the internet. We're okay. But China doesn't have. China's people don't have that. They are quite heavily censored as to what they can and cannot watch, and what they can and cannot see. They have their own systems in place, so they don't have the same liberties that we have. So am I against the Chinese people as a whole? No. No, it doesn't work that way. And people always have these arguments of, well, you have a Samsung TV. Your phone is, made by China. So, if you're so against China, why do you have these things? It doesn't work that way. It's just a stupid argument, and it's just a way for you to wash yourselves of the of the problems that we're talking about. It doesn't work that way. Just Sony or Samsung or Hawaii may not feel the same, but they have to be very, very careful, because if they talk back against China, they will be heavily penalized. That's how China works. That's how they control their people. So to say that, oh well, you have all these products, you're not going against them. No, it doesn't work that way. So stop trying to pull that narrative, because all you're trying to do is just basically play a narrative that doesn't actually work. We are talking about a lot of people, Allied forces and America, died so that you and I can have the freedom that we have now. And it doesn't matter whether it's China. It could be any country. Any country that tries to censor free speech, that is the same thing. It's a no-no. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If we allow this, if we let this slide, then eventually you and I will be censored. So this was a quick video, probably not going to be my finest video, but I think sometimes you have to say what you feel. Is this just a knee jerk reaction? No. I've had quite a few days to think about this. And you know, people are gonna say, oh well, you know, it's just gamers acting up. Yes. Yes, I'm a gamer, and I'm proud to be a gamer. Particularly in this day and age where, you know, every time somebody does something stupid, we get blamed for it. We become the scapegoats. Oh, well, you know, violent games, you know, it causes people to act out. Oh, fine. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. But this is bigger than gaming. This has nothing to do with gaming. Whether you're a gamer or you're not a gamer, it doesn't matter. This is about freedom. Something that was hard fought for. You know? I don't particularly enjoy politicians just arguing. Here in the United Kingdom, the people were given a vote. We were asked, do you want to leave? Do you want to stay? The people asked to leave, and now it seems to be that the governments are trying to circumvent that because they don't like the outcome. So they're trying to circumvent the people in order to get what they want. And if you do that, then basically democracy is a joke. It no longer works. Which is a very, very dangerous thing to do. Because if the people no longer believe in democracy, then, well, you potentially have anarchy. Not a good thing. And this is just one more thing. If you destroy people's right, there are many people on, you know, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. They say things I don't like. But you know what? I will defend their right to say it. Because everybody has the right to their opinion. That was the point. You don't have to like it. Yeah, my neighbours downstairs, they smoke extremely strong weed. I mean, I can smell it in my bathroom. But you know what? Okay. I can have my opinion. They can have their opinion. That's the way it should be. That we can have a back and forth. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it should work. That's the way it should be. But what these companies are trying to do is sell that right in order for money and blood money. Do you remember Tiananmen Square? It was a complete and absolute bloodbath. Do you think that in 2019 that can't happen because we're all so progressive? Because we're all so, you know, caring? Nah, it's already happening. There are Chinese police that are not police, that are attacking people in the streets just because they're protesting, just because they want to retain their way of life. China doesn't want that. And so people are being attacked, people are being beaten. So do you think there can't be a Tiananmen Square style massacre? I mean, honestly, that's not something I want. That's not something I want to see again in my lifetime. But You know, just because it's 2019, I wouldn't. I don't think we're quite as progressive as people seem to think that we are. And you know, we see it online all the time, particularly on to use as is heel versus babyface. Beautiful show. If you haven't seen it, please go and see it. His version of Twitwat, where people just get offended about everything, and anything. Does it make the world better? I don't think so. Now we're just all walking around on eggshells because we're frightened to go against anybody. In that the whole cancel culture, in that they'll try to lose us our job because we don't agree with them. Again, it's just another type of censorship. But we still have that in our country. They can argue, we can argue. If China had their way, there would only be one point of view, and that would be theirs. So let's be very, very careful. This is not about gaming. This is about freedom. This is about freedom of speech, equality. And if we allow this to slide, I think it sets a very, very bad precedent. So thank you for tuning in, and basically be well, be safe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.